Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. It's the 2023 season in GT Cup Europe, and let me just tell you, it's the final round. We're here at Barcelona. Round 5 takes us around this 4.657 kilometer circuit with 50 minutes of racing soon to come. Driver change window opening up for the 21st to the 29th minute, and with it being the last round as well, we also have a gargantuan championship fight on our hands. Ian Velasco and Jorge Cabezas coming into the weekend on top. They came in, drop scores aside, 90 points, with 59 points going to that of Laurent van der Velde, Xander Prisbalak just in behind, with Evgeny Leonov, Davide Schinicchio as well. 3 times race winners, Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas. They're looking to perhaps cap off yet another weekend with another tick in the victory box, but they've still got the small matter of 2 races ahead of them this weekend, including 1 qualifying session to come tomorrow. But this time around, they will not be starting on pole position. No sirree, folks. Obviously, that privilege goes to one Jan Lauritsen, once again returning here to the championship after a very victorious Monza trip. But nevertheless, it is going to be a staunch fight. My name is, of course, George Morgan. Joining me in the commentary box, as always, the one, the only, Chris Stevens. Chris, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, grand, George. Looking forward to getting penultimate race of the season underway. Jan Lauritsen on pole position, as you mentioned, and a very timely return to the championship, given Q1 Track Racing's pursuit of the Teams Championship, which they currently lead by 6 points to Mertal Motorsport, who have rather dominated the Drivers' Championship with Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas, who we're now on board with on their Ferrari 488 Challenge number 80 machine. But that Team's Championship still very much up for grabs, as is the AM Championship between the Q1 Track Race pairing of Laurent van der Velde and Xander Prisbalak and the Kessel Ferrari of the Bochez twin brothers, Mikhail and Alexander.
Yeah, and I mean, while we factor in, of course, that van der Velde are, and Prisbalak are second in the overall standings, obviously we've looked at the point situation. They do lead that AM standing, so they have a great chance of scooping that this weekend, but they do have the Bochez brothers right behind. That's both Alexander and Mikhail. If you want to tell the difference, one has hair, the other one doesn't. So there we go, if you're looking to check those out across the weekend. Nicholas van Dierendonk also in the mixer too, but right on the cusp, of course, with drop scores applied. Obviously, even if he was to gain maximum points here to give himself a chance against van der Velde, it would only draw them level, in which case it would go to count back. But nevertheless, it's van der Velde who would come out on top, and Prisbalak as well. Drop scores applied. We've done the maths. We believe 40 points up at the top end, with 33 going to the Bochez brothers and 24 for Van Dierendonk and Quentin Antonel. Of course, this weekend could yet deliver a stir, but it firmly looks like in that AM standing that van der Velde is looking in real control. Looking in the overall standings, Velasco and Cabezas on 75 points, if we take into account what we believe to be the drop scores as well. 57 points as well for both van der Velde and Prisbalak in behind. So they do have one hand on the championship, Velasco and Cabezas, and all being well, should it go to plan and they remain in the top 3, they have a great chance of taking the title.
Essentially, if they finish on the podium in this race, that's the championship secures. They've won 3 races so far this season. They've finished 3rd on 3 occasions as well, and only 1 race where they didn't actually finish on the podium so far this year. So there's been incredible consistency from that pairing, whereas van der Velde and Prisbalak get to take an overall win, AM pairing, as you mentioned, of course, but their fight really is more the AM championship. We would have thought Evgeny Leonov would have been a bit further in this fight, but he hasn't scored points since he won the Spa Enduro back in May. It's been a tough couple of rounds for him, and obviously he'll be hoping to get some points on the board from 6th on the grid today. There we just see a glimpse of one of 2 new cars being entered for this weekend. That was the NM Racing Mercedes AMG GT Cup Evo, which is essentially born from the GT2 machine, adapted to GT Cup technology. And we saw earlier the Lamborghini Super Trofeo as well. That's been entered by Oregon, who of course are very active in the international GTOpen, the biggest sibling to this GT Cup series.
Yeah, absolutely right, indeed. And of course, whoever the champion is will, of course, join the ranks of the likes of Bashar, well, certainly the likes of Jan Lauritsen, who won it last season. And of course, would go on to take a race win at this very circuit back in 2021 for Q1 by EMG Motorsport. Jan Lauritsen, though, not in contention for the title this season. Nevertheless, so great to see him back here, and he did a strikingly good job sticking his car right on pole position this morning, and also had his entire family around him. So always a nice occasion to do that when you have your connections alongside you, Chris.
Yeah, it was a sweet little interview, wasn't it, after the qualifying this morning with Lauritsen. And he'll be sharing the front row with Fabio Babini, who will be on board that number 78 ZRS Motorsport Porsche, the Cup car, the newer version, the 992. If you're new to GT car, we have a mixture of the Porsche 911 Cup cars and the Ferrari 488 Challenge, which is the first time we've had that combination, first season of having Ferraris in this championship. And it's been a very welcome addition because we've seen some incredible fights between the two brands that have two very different performance characteristics. The Ferrari, with its absolute monster horsepower, dominates the straights by quite some margin, but the Porsche seems to be much quicker in the corners. And just to point that out, we have two Porsches on the front row of the grid, yes, but we also have two Ferraris on the second row of the grid as well. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see one of them leading into turn one, given that we have a 600-meter run from pole position all the way down to the first corner.
One of the longest straights you'll have on this championship this season. There's Luca Ludwig, who certainly did show to impress. Certainly in the early sectors where the Ferrari is obviously benefited by that long straight, it's the corners that doesn't seem to perhaps work quite as well, given the fact that it is built for straight line speed. Alex Ryman, he sat there and composed and ready to go as well. And we do, of course, have Evgeny Leonov, and as you so rightly said, hasn't necessarily had the best of results since all the way back from round two. Of course, he had his chance as well at Portimao, but remember, he spun heading through the final corner on the final lap.
Yes, that would have won him the race. So the car in front of him had a 5-second penalty, if I remember rightly, and he was within those 5 seconds, but in spinning, dropped out of those 5 seconds, and yes, lost himself the win. Now, of course, was involved in quite a big shunt in Paul Ricard off the start as well, and then there was another big shunt for him in Monza as well. That was very unlucky, considering that you couldn't see 5 meters in front of you. Such were the conditions that weekend, but yes, hoping for better luck this weekend. There's a closer look at that NM Racing Mercedes. NM being that Nil Montserrat Racing, the Spanish racing driver who used to race in Euroformula and in Formula Renault 3.5 as well. But he's got the silver pairing of Jorg Vijban and Luc Ibanez, who will be starting the car.
Yeah, well, there we have it, folks, and obviously a nice shot of the grid that are getting ready to race for this weekend's action. First race of two here to bring you at Barcelona. As we take a look at the Rosso Corsa car, as well, we just saw panned over the top. Of course, Lorenzo Fernandino Innocenti, they got 20 seconds of handicap to cover in the pit stop phase.
And yeah, sorry, I don't know, eyes were deceiving me there because it looked like there was a car missing on the grid, but and if it was, it would have been the leader.
Well, highlights from a very wet Monza, race one that got us underway. Of course, it was a very, very busy one from start to finish. We, of course, saw the Mertel Ferrari taking that early lead, as you'd expect. Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas taking that early advantage from the prior get-go. Alex Ryman was right in the mix of this too. We had a massive crash heading down in towards turn one. A dynamic move, though, would lead to a spin, unfortunately, for car number 73. And they would find themselves towards the rear of the field. Back underway, though, after the safety car procedure, and they crossed the line, and victory did go to Jan Lauritsen.
And the winning team, Q1 track.
And then we got back underway. Better conditions for race two back at Monza. The Temple of Speed certainly was that, as we saw the cars pile their way down through towards turn one. Great start by Andrea Bellici on the inside as well, who managed to get his Ferrari off to a burst, trying to contend with the Mertal Motorsport crew. Rosso Corsa looking to deliver a big result as well. But it ended in disaster for car 71 that found itself into the barrier. The Porsche coming off worse in that exchange. But it was a great result for Mertel, who once again celebrated at the top of the podium. And this is how the Drivers' Championship looks, with drop points not included. Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas, 90 points up at the top. 59 points going to Van der Velde and Sander Prisbalak. They are essentially tussling for the overall championship, with Van der Velde looking to cap off the AM Championship. Well, race one about to get underway. As you can see, the formation lap now in full swing. Let's take you through the grid, folks. On pole position, once again, it's him again, the champion, reigning champion, Jan Lauritsen. Fabio Babini in second, joins him on the front row as well. P3, Jorge Cabezas looking to capture the title here in this race alone, with Luca Ludwig in fourth place. P5, that would go to Alex Ryman, who had a very busy race at Monza. Evgeny Leonov, who, as we said, has struggled with form lately, looking to bring it back here at Barcelona. Nicholas van Durendonk lines up in seventh alongside Lorenzo Fernandino Innocenti as well in eighth place. In ninth place, Jörg Wiebahn in the Mercedes. Michael Boschers as well lining up in the Ferrari 88 Challenge. 11th place going to Laurent van der Velde, who, alongside him, it's the Romanian counterpart, Florin Tincescu in 12th place. 13th place for Enrico Patera. Great to see Lamborghini here this time around. Stefano Zanini as well, lining up in 14th. 15th place for Indra Yaska, with Glauco Solieri starting 16th. In 17th place lines up Fabio Fabiani, and on the back alongside him is Stefano Bozzoni for the 488 Challenge Evo car. 19th place goes to Roberto Fecchio in the Porsche 992, who's going to look to try and launch a charge off the back row. And obviously, as we all know in GT Cup racing, starts could mean everything. Of course, we've got plenty of handicaps to be served, success handicaps, of course, that have to be served during the pit stops. And one of the biggest ones, the staggering ones, Ivan Velasco and Jorge Cabezas, due to their recent successes, they've got to serve 20 seconds in the pit lane. And while you're chasing a championship, Chris, that could throw a spanner in the works.
Certainly can, but this pairing has proved to be so unbelievably fast. And they have overcome that in the past, and could well do so again today. Obviously, the Velasco is the bronze in that car, but is one of the fastest out there. So even if he comes out after Cabezas hands over the car, even a bit further down the order, he can still work his way up. But of course, they've got to do it from third on the grid, and they've also got to watch out for their teammate car as well, Luca Ludwig, the Nürburgring specialist, who starts alongside them on the second row of the grid. But those Ferraris are going to be so fast down the straight off the line.
Yeah, take a very close look at where they end up, folks. Of course, one of the longest straights you'll see in the GTOpen Championship. The safety car taking them around the final two corners on this layout. Of course, no chicane to be troubled with. As we take a look inside the garages, pensive views from everyone involved, as now we await the lights to certainly change from red to green for the first time this weekend at Barcelona, and for the final weekend in the GTOpen Championship. We'll decide a champion this weekend, as we now see them all line up in formation, get ready for the run down towards turn one. And now, without any shadow of a doubt, as they get themselves ready to go, the lights go green, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Jan Lauritsen stuttered a bit at the start, but Babini now looking to give chase as they make their way down towards turn one. Luca Ludwig also in behind as well. Take a look at this. Jorge Cabezas with a daring move down the inside. That's the Ferrari we were looking for. Into turn one they lead. A spinner. I think it's Ludwig. Ludwig's gone.
Yeah, Ludwig made contact with Evgeny Leonov, of all people, down at the first corner. The Mercedes has to cut turn two and comes out in fourth or fifth place, I believe there. But Lauritsen's got the lead back again, so he's gone back round. Oh, big mess, including the car going for the AM Championship, the Kessel Ferrari, but that's a big mess down at turn two.
And Evgeny Leonov was in that as well. Yet another non-scoring race for Leonov. He is in the barriers well and truly, in the gravel trap. Surely there's going to be a safety car as we now await the cars to make their way around Seat corner now. And there you can see Jan Lauritsen, who managed to sustain an unassailable lead. It looked like the Cabezas had his number. Again, we can see the marshals at work.
There's 4 cars involved in that. So, here we go. Leonov, Michael Boschers, Glauco Solieri, and Stefano Bozzoni. So the third of the Motel cars in there as well. Wow, what a difficult, awful start for them. And Luca Ludwig did get going again, but he's come out 15th and last, and the safety car has been deployed. No surprise there.
No, not at all. 4 cars involved in that monumental tussle. 4 cars in the gravel. Safety car deployed. And take a look at that. That's the Mertel 19 as well that's involved in all this. And that,
Bozzoni's going to get it going again, so good effort there.
Yeah, brilliant. So it means that they can obviously continue. They'll have to line up in behind the safety car. The marshal just telling them to get cracking, join the queue. As we take a look now, the grid trying to get back in formation. There is Oregon's team. Of course, many of you would have seen this team competing in the International GTOpen, and they're looking to bring some success now in the GT Cup class. There's no doubt going to be some disappointed faces on those that have been unfortunately buried in the gravel. And yes, and certainly not ideal for anyone involved, and especially on the opening lap as well. Yellow flag still being waved at turn 1, as you can see the marshals on the right and left. Full course, yellow course safety car procedure. So the pace cars all line up, and medical car standing by as well, just in case they need to intervene. But obviously, so far, just waiting for them to clear up the carnage, essentially. Never ideal when you're heading down towards turn 1.
Absolutely. So I think with the Kessel car out, the 52 Q1 track racing pair of Van der Velde and Prispelack only need a podium in their class to secure the AM Championship, I think.
Well, they're leading their class now, currently sat P7, and they're leading the AM contingent right now. Let's take a look at the replay. So Jan Lauritsen, of course, was a little slow getting off the line. It looked like Pabini had his number heading down towards turn 1, but take a look at row 2, because of course you can see now this is where Cabezas really unleashes the power of the Ferrari. He'll now make his move in towards the inside, does favour that inside line as well, heading in towards turn 1. Luca Ludwig made it a 4 wide as well, heading through that segment. Ivan Velasco was involved in all this, and it was that collision with Ludwig and Velasco, I think, that teed up that moment.
Yeah.
And 3 cars essentially met each other on the off-road, and the Mercedes was in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Rosso Corsa having to go over as well. And yeah, so they all just collect each other on the way out. Lauritsen got the lead back again because Cabezas went so wide into the first corner, and so he just went straight back past them at turn 2. But yeah, what a mess down there.
Yeah, that's something for the marshals to clean up there. 4 cars going off immediately. Incredible. This is the onboard of Jorge Cabezas. What a run down the inside. It does really show the power of the Ferrari, but obviously you've got to find your braking zone at that point.
Look how hot he got into the corner. Lauritsen just straight back through as well. Beautiful clean move. And maybe we'll get a better view here of how everyone ended up in the gravel at turn 2. Not so much from there. Oh, there was a little touch there, I think, but they just about got away with it. And I think this is on board with Leonov. Yes, it is. So he's gone in a little hot there, gone round. Oh, so I think that's the Alex Ryman Porsche that had a bit of a touch. Whoa! The Kessel car just came bang into the side.
Oh, you would have felt that, Chris. Found himself into the barriers, and obviously he's taking his car out of the race. Here's the slow-mo, so you could see Ludwig obviously making contact. It was, to be fair, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. He managed, with a little bit of help from EST1 Racing, managed to get it back on, but all of a sudden then the Bosch's car made its way through to the side of him there. Never ideal. And unfortunately now that's collected 4 cars. Obviously one was able to rejoin, of course that being Navarrete, his car making its way back onto the track, and Stefano Bozzoni, who were driving the other Murtel that were caught up in all that. Of course we saw them reverse back out onto the circuit, and the marshal said go, and they're going to catch up with the rest of the cars up at the tail end of the field. Some way to start at Barcelona, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And the car's having to use the escape road on the runoff area at turns 1 and 2 just to make sure they avoid any debris that's been put down from that incident. Of course, this is eating into the time of the pro drivers if they're in the car at the moment. So for the Mercedes, Jörg Vierban, maybe that'll help them out a little bit, because Jörg is the older driver.
It's a fantastic point, that, Chris, because obviously if you consider the fact that Cabezas is very much the one of the form drivers to watch for, obviously he's generally the quicker of the pairing. With the safety car that's going to be out, no doubt, for a little while, obviously while they try and remove the remaining 3 cars that were stuck in the gravel. You know, it does mean it's going to take them that much longer under safety car procedure. They're going to lose time. And at the same time as well, they got that 20 seconds to handle then during the pit stop phase. So
yeah,
it really is everything against them right now.
And even if you're a solo driver like Jan Lauritsen or Alex Ryman as well, who have both got success penalty to take, or a handicap to take as well. Lauritsen more so than Ryman, but yeah, it's not ideal to be having this safety car, because they want to be getting out and pulling out as much of a lead as they possibly can in that time before the pit stop window.
Well, Laurent van der Velde does have 10 seconds to field himself when Xander Prispalak steps into the car. Sees himself 7th, is leading the AM contingent though, as we take a look at turn 1 again. This is the moment, you could just see there Ludwig coming across the front there of Leonov. The Rosso Corsa took very good evasive action. Of course, Lorenzo, oh wow.
It's astonishing. So the Kessel took to the escape road and just dropped it.
Just lost the rear altogether.
Yeah, on the escape road, spears across the track and wipes out 3 cars.
It's a serious case of oversteer. Oh no.
Oh no, that's the Pizzoni car, isn't it?
That's the, yeah, correct. It's the Mertel Motorsport Ferrari that, of course, later on, Navarrete would be stepping in. Of course, Fernando Navarrete, a very fast driver as well. Now, they had their issues with this car. If you remember back at Portimao with the liquid that was coming out the back of it all the way back in the first race at the Algarve. And they've had their own fair share of bad luck this season, but I think that will firmly rubber stamp, I think, that issue at this point. Now, once again, being faced with their car being towed back to the garage.
Well, it was a bit of trouble on the 81 at Monza as well, where that car just didn't seem to want to play ball for whatever reason. And but that car, luckily, seems to be running quite well now, although having finally got the car running and it was in a good position, now look at Ludwig is last of the remaining runners we have in 15th place after that first corner incident. So we're not going to see much of that glorious art livery that it's got, which is promoting a charity to help kids with disabilities who are rather arty, and did that livery themselves. It's a long-time charity partner of the Mertel team.
Yeah, looked fantastic as well. It was a great livery, and got to see it in person as well when it was unveiled not too long ago. As we now see the cars make their way through the next right-hander, there is the Rosso Corsa Ferrari. Lorenzo Ferdinando Innocenti, of course, experienced his first his first experiences of driving the car was back in Ferrari Challenge, and was very excited to take the helm in this championship too, and have some really good form here in this series. In fact, their first outing was no less impressive. Remember when they came to Paul Ricard for their very first outing, and they finished 2nd in their opening race, and then followed it up with a superb victory in race 2. But they have yet to enjoy those same plaudits. They didn't get it at Monza, which would have been nice to them because it was essentially a home race.
Yeah, very much so. So we've got about 10 minutes until the driver change window. So essentially the first half of this stint is going to be run under safety car, which is really bad news for the teams that have got their quick drivers in. Like Babini, for example, in 3rd place at the moment. He'll really want to get this race underway as quick as possible. Babini, the gold driver, a Le Mans class winner, and multiple champion across the likes of Super Trofeo, European Le Mans Series, Le Mans Cup as well. If he's driven it, he's probably won in it. One of those drivers with just a vast amount of experience that currently sits in 3rd place. And the Mercedes behind them that's debuting this weekend, taking a little longer than the cars in front of him to get into picture there.
Incredible stat actually with Babini and Scanicchio. They've taken 4 of the fastest laps out of the 7 races we have had so far this season. So a great record in terms of getting the fastest laps. Of course, I suppose they would prefer to unleash their best in qualifying, but nevertheless, to take that is still a very, very good record. The only other car that is able to actually take fastest laps this season was, in fact, Navarrete and Bozzoni's Mertel Motorsport Ferrari, which will not be doing that this time around. Of course, we just saw the car being pulled by the recovery car. So a great chance here for Babini and Scanicchio to make it 5.
And now let's have a look and see what's still going on there. They've got to remove that GTL car, which is Glauco Solieri. It looks like that's the last one left in the gravel trap.
Incredible scenes here. Obviously heading through this next stride, still chasing the safety car. 38 minutes and 40 still to go. And of course at this stage now, again, eating away at the time on track for Jorge Cabezas, who really wants to try and hook this championship up. Jan Lauritsen obviously would probably prefer to put some delta in between him and the cars behind as well, but don't forget he'll be doing the 2nd stint as well. Has still got 15 seconds to serve, though, in terms of handicap, on top of the basic handicap they've got to serve, of course. They've got a basic pit stop time that they have to obviously comply to. And then following that, they will have to serve a little extra based on the successes they've had in previous rounds. Certainly in the last round back at Monza, where Lauritsen was dominant on that occasion once again, and has delivered many great results. Was actually a victor in the opening race and P2 then in the race after. So it was a very good weekend for Jan Lauritsen, and definitely a welcome return as well. And if he takes victory this time around, of course, was last a victor here back in 2021 in race 2. Didn't manage to achieve the same accolades in 2021. Sorry, he didn't manage to achieve the same accolades in 22, of course, but he did go on to take the title. So I suppose that is one small reprieve for missing out on that one, but could yet come back here without winning the title and take a race win nonetheless. He's very well placed for it, Chris.
Absolutely. Just thinking about the team's championship as well, obviously it's advantage Q1 at the moment, because not only are they leading ahead of the Mertel car, but Mertel's other cars, one's out, as we saw, the other one's in last place, and Q1 have got a car in 7th overall as well, and they are currently leading that championship, so they would extend that advantage. It's the top 2 results from each race that count towards the team's championship. And yeah, obviously we had Q1 have fielded a fair few number of cars so far this year with the various different customers that they've had throughout the year. But yeah, I think bringing back Jan Lauritsen was definitely a good move there in their pursuit of the championship. And Mertel have run 3 cars since Spa, the second round. It was the 81 that was the additional 3rd car that was brought in with Luca Ludwig and Stephen Lickrish at the wheel.
And unfortunately, Mertel being 1 car down again, obviously that doesn't necessarily help, given the fact now that they obviously want to try and chase optimal points. But in behind, you can just see Cabezas there. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of faith poured into him, that hopefully he can bring home some huge points. Babini's still right there and in amongst it as well. He's going to be certainly a very tricky customer to deal with in behind. He loves to get in deep, will, I'm sure, be looking to challenge for that P2 spot, but obviously we know that the straights can be very Ferrari friendly. As we take a look at the Lamborghini once again. Welcome, Oregon team, to the GT Cup Open grid. And great to have the drivers they have on show as well, because of course very experienced racers in their own right. And I mean, we look at the likes of Enrico Batera, who's currently competing in the TCR International Series and the Italian Touring Car Championship, a Coppa Italia champion in 2013 right through to 2015, with Marzio Moretti as well, also partnering alongside him in his 2nd season in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. Only 21 years of age, but Lamborghini do like this young man, and they say that despite his age, he shows all the experience and maturity great enough to be a great driver, and is now awaiting his chance to jump into the car later on. And if there's one thing we know about Team Oregon, they love building championship-winning cars, race-winning cars, as well as we've seen from this season as well in the International GT Open. Remember, they also won the International GT Open title, and it happened here at Barcelona as well, with Benjamin Hites and, of course, Leonardo Polcini.
Yeah, lovely up-and-coming driver there in Moretti. We'll see what comes after his Super Trofeo season, and we'll maybe even see more outings for that team and car, maybe even that driver in the GT Cup next year, of course. It's great to see, because we're basically looking at seeing what the BOP will be for the Lamborghini, to have more of them next year, and maybe even the Mercedes as well. Running actually Q1 was telling me about a very similar Bell Car championship back in Belgium, which sort of follows along the same sort of principles of combining Cup machinery and even some GT2 machinery as well. So a pretty similar format to this. But obviously this is a much more regional championship racing across Europe, and Ferrari have been such a welcome addition to the championship. It would be fantastic to get the likes of Lamborghini and other manufacturers building Cup cars for this championship next year.
Yeah, absolutely right indeed, and we can only hope that we can see more and more of them. And there's the Mercedes as we speak, and NM Racing, who are here for the first time this weekend. Great to have the team debuting with us as well. 2 very handy drivers at the helm, with Luca Ibanez as well, 2022 GT4 Europe Series runner-up. Of course, his teammate, Jorge Vierban, competing in the Fanatec GT2 Championship in the AM class, and a winner at the 24-hour of Nürburgring. So vastly experienced at a competitive level. And will no doubt be looking to try and bring his best in the Mercedes as well. Let's take another look at the start. Of course, the replay, and again, we'll see, of course, the Cabezas car there on the second row. Again, though, not a great start for Morrison.
No, I mean, I was actually expecting it to be a bit more punchy from the Ferraris, really, because we see Ludwig just draws up alongside, really, but 4 wide at the front of the field into the first corner. And it's the fact that Ludwig kind of has to check up at that point, because he's got 3 cars on his inside. Probably didn't help, and Leonov getting in a little hot there as well by the looks of it, kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The Mercedes has to go out wide, catches a big slide there as well, but yeah, the Kessel Ferrari just drops it, wipes out Leonov, and then collects the Glauco Solieri's car, and yeah, poor Pizzoni had nowhere else to go.
Yeah, no, he didn't at all, and unfortunately, despite managing to get the car out, he was then taken back to the garage by the recovery vehicle. This is Cabezas again heading in, and you can just see how late he broke in comparison. You could argue that Jan Lauritsen, very high IQ in terms of driving, heading in towards turn 1. I mean, that was superb. It basically a switchback under braking, which was really spectacular to watch. But now we have yet another on board this time. Now, this is off the start as well. There's Alex Ryman getting caught on the outside. He managed to recover very well, as did many others. There's the Rosso Corsa on the left too. And again, another shot here. Oh, yeah, goodness me. I mean, just coming a cropper, as we see right on board here with Leonov. Of course, he gets caught straight away by Bozzoni. Brings with him Solieri. And of course, Stefano Bozzoni then joined them in the gravel trap as well. So, yeah, really unfortunate scenes for all those involved. Still to take in the escape road, but the driver change, keenly enough, postponed by 5 minutes.
Yeah, because we've been under safety car for so long. So it's a good call from race control. And yeah, 5th consecutive non-scoring finish for Evgeny Leonov. Almost thought there might be a bit more of an eruption inside that Volcano motorsport car, but
lots of magma.
Yeah, it was very quiet, actually. I'm sure there was one in the garage.
I'm sure there was, and in the car as well.
Yes, but you're right for Lauritsen, because he just played it super smart, let Cabezas outbrake himself into turn 1, just came straight back at him as well. And we saw Ryman quite lucky to get away with it, actually. On board, it only looks like he has a little tap, but when we watch the off board, it actually looks like a much more significant hit he takes on the left rear corner. So good for the 18-year-old law and engineering student to still be facing in the right direction. I was chatting with Alex Ryman yesterday, and of course he's telling me all about studying at De Montfort and his engineering course as well. And I just, is there anything this kid can't do? Really, but
talented young driver,
very talented. And we've got safety car in this lap, thankfully. So 30 minutes left on the clock and a slight delay to the driver change, which will now be open in about 6 minutes time, but we are going to go green again.
We certainly are, folks. 30 minutes to go, and the driver change window opening up in 6 minutes time. Jan Lauritsen's going to take them round, essentially heading down towards turn 1. It looked like it was going to be a passing of the torch between the current champion and what could be the future champion. Lauritsen saying, no, you are not ready, son. You're not ready. As they make their way around the final 2 corners now, Jan Lauritsen not wasting any time immediately now as the flag goes green. He's going to put pedal to the metal for the 2nd time in this race now, and does take the lead. He's got a very nice gap indeed. Cabezas maybe a little sleepy heading out of turn 13 and 14. In behind as well, you've got also Fabio Babini, Jorge Vierban as well, who's in the mix with the Mercedes as well. There's then quite a gap between the Rosso Corsa and the other green Porsche in behind as well. But look at this from Innocenti. A very, very direct move as we saw Ryman go defensive on the outset of turn 1. Heading through turn 2 they go now as well, but they're all coming out safe. Look at Luca Ludwig, not content with being at the back. He makes his way through.
And Vierban looking to find a way through on Babini as well for 3rd place. So Vierban in that new Mercedes, number 15, the German driver who has won an awful lot of GT4 competitions, including the European Series back in 2016, and the Bathurst 12-hour class winner in 2017. And sitting in 4th place, he was very hot on the restart, trying to find a way through. This is on board with that number 52 Q1 Track Racing Porsche of Laurent van der Velde, looking at the back of Innocenti's, looking at the back of the Lamborghini by the looks of it.
Yeah, the Oregon Lamborghini Inagenti currently chasing down the other EST1 car of Alex Ryman, who unfortunately saw his comrade unfortunately get usurped by Luca Ludwig earlier on as well. A very delayed run, though, heading through the Lakea Bend for the Rosso Corsa Ferrari, as we now see some inside work now. We've got a Q1 Porsche that's currently in the midst of a little bit of stress, and the switch back here certainly prevailing on this occasion, going to Stefano Zanini as they look to challenge here, heading through now, making their way around back San-Badell. Nicholas van Durendonk coming under increasing pressure, a little tap, a little loss of traction as they make their way around turn 13, but nevertheless, the 44 Porsche of Stefano Zanini able to keep van Durendonk at bay, at least for now.
Just about. This is all for 9th place at the moment as they come across the line. Laurissen's lead 1.6 seconds. As they start what is the second flying lap of this race. And the 52 Porsche starting to fall back from Batera's Lamborghini a little bit. So this battle for 9th place is the one we're watching. Zanini with Van Durendonk and Florentin Cescu right at the back of them as well. There's a bit of a gap back to Fabio Fabiani and Luca Ludwig recovering. Actually, I think Ludwig just got past Fabiani. They're actually into 12th.
Yeah, oh, tell you what, very much missing, I think, the apex slightly there for Jorge Cabezas. 1.6 seconds now from Laurissen, who is absolutely tanking it at this point. You just see immediately onto the brakes. Cabezas, as you see the ride height drop as they slow down, heading up through towards Verth Curve. They've now got a whip round camps, and I tell you what, Babini is looking so charged right now, making his way around this next right-hander out of turn 9. They've then got to take the straight down through towards turn 10 at the now very much open part of the Lakea Bend. And now, obviously, if you're Babini, you don't want to lose Laurissen too much. And if you're being held up by Cabezas, which certainly looks like it's the case right now, obviously, again, losing more time. Cabezas, 2.1 seconds. Remember, previously, 1.6. And look at Babini down the inside now, heading through towards this next right-hander. A special move around back San-Badell. They'll whip through Europe car. What a move.
He was on the grass, basically, on the inside of turn 12 there, but such is the difference in performance between the Porsche and the Ferrari in the corners, particularly in the lower speed by the look of it. He's just able to just get up the inside through turns 10, 11, and then into 12. Great move there by Fabio Babini, and he gets himself up into 2nd place, and I did wonder if the Ferrari had the legs on the straight to charge back past. Here it is again. So much more grip and traction. Look how much later he is on the brake, and a little wide there from Cabezas, but Babini with much tighter line. And yeah, that's a fantastic move.
Might be another example of where Cabezas might have been going late on the brakes, heading into that segment. Very similar to the goings on at turn 1. Luca Ludwig also taking a wider line, making his way through the next right-hander through the Repsol Soon Renault curve, taking a very wide line on the off-track section. Heading through now towards this yet another right-hander at Repsol. We've got Seat corner coming up after this, which is basically a very tough and twisting left, as Jan Laurissen now takes them up the hill towards Campsa corner himself at turn 9, not having, or certainly not phased, 2.7 seconds ahead of Fabio Babini. And now with the driver change window now, from a minute now, it will be open. So Jan Laurissen, as of the next lap, he can now serve essentially his pit stop.
Yeah, we saw in Monza, he decided to come in quite early, didn't he? So just try and get it out of the way, especially because he hasn't got a second driver to hand over to. But I have a feeling that Babini and Cabezas and Veerman and Co will probably stay out for quite a bit because they need to undo some of the damage that was done during that safety car period where they had quite a bit of their time taken away from them. I mean, for Rosso Corsa, this is actually kind of perfect because Innocenti is the bronze and he's only 9 seconds away from Jan Laurissen. And of course, Laurissen's got 20 seconds of penalty to take. The Rosso Corsa is not completely unhandicapped. Oh, it's actually quite similar. But with Bellici in the car, and if we go green all the way to the end, then that suddenly is a car that's looking quite good for, at the very least, a podium.
Yeah, despite near matching in terms of the handicap system, of course, both cars only sharing 20 seconds of handicap. Of course, Cabezas serving 20. We got Lorenzo Fernandez Get your words out, George. Ferdinando Innocenti as well has got to serve 20 seconds alike, so obviously it's going to be a little bit of a mission, but certainly Andrea Bellici can make a huge difference, as now we see a little bit of a look down the inside here from Nicolas van Dierendonck, who tries to unsettle Laurent van der Velde. This is the battle for the AM lead at this point, and of course we've got our AM championship leader, car number 52, coming under pressure. A nice move down the inside at set corner there from Nicolas van Dierendonck, but the undercut's on offer here for that of Van der Velde does not take it, so it's Van Dierendonck now with the AM lead, and he's in 8th place.
Two of the Q1 track racing management team going hammer and tongs there a little bit, and not exactly the team game being played, given that 52 is the one fighting for the championship, but with their main rivals out of contention, they can afford to play a little bit, as Alex Ryman now looking at the back of Vebaan in that Mercedes. Alex Ryman, winner in Paul Ricard earlier this year, proving to be a very rapid young driver. And Vebaan coming straight into pits, as is Alex Ryman as well. And now I wonder if we're going to get the race leader in on this lap as well. But yeah, Vebaan and Ryman into the pits at the earliest opportunity.
Yeah, Lauritsen did speed past the pit lane and has decided to carry on. Babini now 3.1 behind him. Now, I suppose the deciding factor, as far as Lauritsen's concerned, is Babini gaining time on me? Is that going to be the decisive factor? Because 3.1 at this stage sort of suggests that he is gaining time, Lauritsen, on Babini. So he's not really at risk at this point. He doesn't want to run the risk of the undercut, essentially damaging him either. But Babini not content with essentially pit boxing early. He wants to leave it as late as possible because it's in their interests to stay out for as long as they can. So this could effectively be Jan Lauritsen covering off Babini's pit stop.
Pisani in the meanwhile as well. The Oregon car was in the two Q1 track racing cars that we saw battling just a moment ago there in the pits for the driver change. So that's Quentin Antonel getting in 57, and that is the young Frenchman who has graduated from karting very recently and doing some Carrera Cup in addition to this championship. Lauritsen still leads the way ahead of Babini by 3.3 seconds now, and Cabezas 2 seconds back from that in 3rd place. And Lauritsen's still going gun-ho here. He's just on a purple middle sector. So he's still looking very good out there. And of course got that 20 seconds to take during the pit stop as well.
Yeah, Marzio Moretti now stepping into the car for the second phase of the Oregon run here in the GTOpen Europe. And now we also see Andrea Bellici heading out of the pit lane as well. Xander Prisbalak also coming out too. Quentin Antonel also stepping out onto the circuit. Now there's our race leader. That is Jan Lauritsen, who is still leading the way, and he's caught up obviously with those that have already boxed. He will himself have to pit too and serve 15 seconds of handicap when of course he does come in, but obviously content with staying out, and has good reason to as well. Nearly 4 seconds now faster on this circuit. It's Fabio Babini in behind, who's got a lot to do to try and close up. Incidentally, folks, if you're new here to this championship, on the left-hand side you can see on the classification standings, blue does mean Pro-Am, and the green stands for the AM category. So currently Jan Lauritsen leading overall, Pro-Am leader, as well as overall. Tincescu leading the AM contingent in P4, but will obviously have to box, because as we all know, we did of course see the car belonging to Xander Prisbalak making the key moves, as now we see Jan Lauritsen making his way past the cars that have already pitted.
And interestingly, that Antonel, the 57 that was ahead before the pit stop, has come out behind Bellici and Prisbalak. So I don't know if that was a slow stop there, if they had more handicap than we thought they did. They shouldn't have had too much, especially because the 52 had 10 seconds to take.
They did, 10 seconds to take, Laurent van der Velde and Xander Prisbalak, yet they've come out ahead of Antonel's car. So interesting. Must have been maybe a moment during the pit stop phase or something of that equation, maybe even an in-lap issue, but we'll have to wait and see. Jan Lauritsen now making his way through the Europe car corner. Will he choose to box this time, or will he stay out? He is indeed, I think, staying out, so he's going to take it for as long as he can. 3 minutes to go in the driver change window, so you'd firmly expect that if it's not this lap, it will at least be the next one.
I think it'll have to be, because it's 1 minute 45 lap times at the moment, so we'll be in this lap, I'd have thought. Babini now trailing by 4.8. He was a full second slower than Lauritsen on the previous lap. who's just doing a sterling job out there at the moment, and very much in command of the lead of this race. And then we've got a couple of more cars coming in. Florentin in the 21 R01 racing. That's the Romanian contingent. And Luka Ludwig coming in as well to hand over to Stephen Licorice.
Out to the into their grid, or shall I say their pit boxes now, to make the necessary changes, and the driver change window will continue for them. Camel Perrion stepping in for Tincescu now, and as you can see, ripping him out the car. In comes as well the 66 Porsche belonging to Vecchio, and they're going to make a change as well. Of course, they were right in the thick of it at the start, starting from the back, but I think obviously they could just watch everything unfold and then make their way through. Nevertheless, they're going to certainly undergo their necessary changes. 55.8 off the lead coming into the pit lane, so that will allow the likes of Ibanez as well as Moretti essentially to jump these that are now in the midst of their pit stops. Alex Ryman as well, you would expect. Jan Lauritsen now making his way through back San Bedell. Now, is this the time where we see our current and reigning champion come in? You would firmly expect so. He's got to, you think. Does he? He certainly does. In he comes, Jan Lauritsen, for his stop and his stint. And obviously Fabio Babini, you'd firmly expect to join him as well. Jorge Cabezas will be handing over to Ivan Velasco when he comes in too. Indrek Jaska in fourth, with Fabio Fabiani in fifth place. So we have to watch for the undercut now. Let's see what Ibanez does.
Yeah, so Lauritsen, he doesn't have a driver change, so he'll just sort of sit in the box and serve his handicap. So it'll be a very calm start. I think they just check the tyre pressures there. Too many changes, but driver change down at ZRS. So Scanicchio getting in for Babini. So nice and calm there. And now two more Q1 track racing Porsches going hammer and tongs. It's the 21 is the R01 racing car, which has come out ahead of 52. That's Prisbalac. So Prisbalac getting past Perrion there for what was 10th place. Ivan Velasco now in for Jorge Cabezas in the number 18 Myrtle Motorsport car. That was in third place before the pit stop. Car leading the championship, and as we said, we think a podium finish will secure them the championship, especially with finishing well ahead of their main rivals, Prisbalac and Van der Velde. Their fight more in the AM Championship, which they might be leading when Indrek Jaska and Stefano Zerbi emerge from the pits. And the driver change has officially finished, and that's the difference of the early safety car with such a huge amount of penalty to take, because Lauritsen has come out behind the Mercedes, and which is the 15 Ibanez car, which I think, George, is now second place behind Davide Scanicchio.
Yeah.
So it's that's the 78 team. So Babini's good work there, putting them in the lead of the race by 5 seconds to Ibanez, and then Lauritsen in third.
Yeah, absolutely. Davide Scanicchio now takes the lead of the race, with Ibanez now in second place, 5 seconds in behind the Porsche. The 78 Porsche that now currently sits in front. As I said, 4 times they've taken the fastest lap. They did it back at Portimao in both races. They did exactly the same at Paul Ricard as they head through Campsa. Ibanez now needs to try and eat into that delta time that separates the pair of them now, as we now see the 44 make its way around. Eugenio Pisani in all this as well, being joined by Zander Prisbalac. Of course, the car that's very much looking to find itself on the cusp of taking the AM Championship win. Of course, now we're just seeing Pisani lose the car slightly, heading out of Firth Curve. They're going to come through Campsa shortly. Prisbalac trying to put himself in a place to potentially make this move happen. Could yet do it, heading down towards Lakea. Quentin Antonell now sets the fastest lap of the race. Prisbalac swapping all over the rear as he now goes in deep, goes around the outside, but can't quite find the leverage, but might get the switch back, heading up through towards Bank San Manel. A classic move that we love to see in the world of racing. Can't quite pull it off, but he might try and hang it out the outside, heading through Back San Manel itself. Will he get another switch back? Will he favour it through turn 13? Europe car to come. A smashing battle between these two Porsches now, as the 44 still religiously defends. Eugenio Pisani, though, at the mercy here of 52 Zander Prisbalac. Sensational stuff around New Holland. He really did hook it up. It was coming eventually, but I would not count him out just yet. Pisani might have his number back into into turn 1.
Pisani was very wide on the exit at 13, didn't help him at all. Now we saw at Monza, the older specification car was very quick in a straight line. It's proving to be the case here again as he gets up the inside. And Prince Black with a lovely little undercut there though, and just drives straight around the outside at turn 2, gets that place back.
Fantastic move there indeed. Xander Prisbalak managing to do the undercut again, heading through turn 1 and then opening the door after the switch and getting the move to happen back again. So he retains 7th place, at least we know for now, as we now see Scaniccio, who's already lost all that time. Remember, it was 5 seconds. Just look at the Mercedes there, able to take a lot more of that curve. He's going to favour the inside, heading through Kamsa. Ibanez now takes the lead of the race, and Oregon team's Marzio Moretti at 1:45.717. Lamborghini spoke very highly of him, and for good reason, it would seem.
Yeah, look at this, Lauritsen already on the back of them as well. And the Oregon not far behind them as well. Moretti in 4th place, just a couple of seconds back from that battle. So the Mercedes, debut weekend for that car. He leads, Lauritsen almost getting his nose chopped off there by Scaniccio, but he gets a lovely run out of 12 and inside of 13, takes 2nd place. So Scaniccio starting to fall back a little bit as well. Moretti will have to clear that car as quick as he possibly can, and then we may well have a 3-way fight for the lead of the race. There's that replay of Pisani getting out a little wide, and that gave Prisbalak the run. But the older Porsche, despite having 25 horsepower less, much smaller, of course, and a bit more aero efficient in a straight line, and this was how the lead changed hands. Scaniccio just getting a little wide. Well, the Mercedes certainly able to take much more speed out at the bottom of the hill. And yeah, now Moretti's arrived on the scene as well and taking 3rd place despite a little wiggle from the back end of that Lamborghini Super Trofeo car, and he's now into 3rd.
Yeah, brilliant move indeed, and a necessary move there for Moretti. He's now going to try and close down to Jan Lauritsen in 2nd. Let's see what this Lamborghini can do under GT Cup conditions. The Super Trofeo car, of course, that no doubt be trying to unleash the beast here this time around, all dressed in the colours of the pirate ship itself, the Oregon team, as now we see the moment where, of course, Davide Scaniccio would come under pressure from Moretti. There we are, dynamic inside move. He had the Tiger line, a little unstable though, making its way through Renault, but managed to hold on to it, and now in 3rd place and trying to close the gap here this time around on Jan Lauritsen, who is right behind the Mercedes AMG of Luke Ibanez, and extending to the right-hand side as we saw Davide Scaniccio actually very near to the gravel as well. There is Jan Lauritsen, current champion, of course now. Oh, side-by-side action again though. Car number 57 belonging to Quentin Antonell, dispatching Andrea Bellici for 9th place. Incredible, great move from Antonell, doing enough to hold on to his position.
Yeah, that was 9th place there being exchanged between Bellici and Antonell. And down into turn 10, that Porsche's looking very good here against that also, of course, Ferrari. Next car in his sight will be Pisani in 44. This is that lead battle, so Ibanez only 3/4 of a second ahead of Lauritsen, who of course had to serve that success penalty. The Lamborghini in close pursuit as well. A little slower than Lauritsen on that previous lap, but of course was passing the Scaniccio Porsche behind him. So we'll see what he can do in clean air. It seems like every single corner, the tail end of that Lamborghini Super Trofeo car is just wagging away. It's like a car you've got to be very aggressive with compared to, say, the Ferrari or the Mercedes, which have got an awful lot of power, certainly more power than the chassis seems to be likes to handle, which very much the design of those cars where they've got an awful lot of power, but the Porsche is just so good in the corners. We'll see what Lauritsen could do here, because I don't think he'll be able to outdrag him on the straight.
Well, it's going to be tricky. I mean, obviously the middle sector is quite technical, not necessarily ideal for the Mercedes over the Porsche cars. Obviously they're a little bit more nimble and able to cope with those little moments. You can just see the rear spoiler as well, just moving on the back there of Jan Lauritsen's car. 2/10 now is all that separates the pair as they rise up through Brank Sambadel again, the highest elevation point on the track, alongside that of Kamsa on the run up through towards Birth Curve, or out of Birth Curve, I should say, as now we see Lauritsen now, once again, the aggressor, looking to hunt down for the race lead. of course, a lead that he's chasing to bring back the plaudits and the accolades of 2021 and a little bit of 2022 if you factor in the fact that he is our current champion. Just getting the rear out short a little bit there slightly, heading out to the final bend at turn 13 and 14, heading down now towards turn 1, remaining in the aero of the Mercedes now. Will he choose to open up the door? Defensive effort here now, this time from Ibanez, late on the brakes here for Jan Lauritsen, who looks to take it the long way round. Will he try a switch? No, he won't. Turn 2, very well defended here from the Mercedes. The NM racing car doing enough to prevent here Jan Lauritsen from at least unleashing the pace in the Porsche, but heading around the right-hand side, you just see how much it's able to glue to the track as they head now in towards Repsol. Has another look down the inside, sort of sells the dummy, isn't able to pull it off though. The Mercedes doing enough, but back comes Lauritsen again, but the rear flicking out. He loses traction, couldn't quite challenge as now they head in towards Seat.
This is amazing. So even though Lauritsen was in the slipstream all the way down the straight and tucked right up behind him as well, they were identical to the 10th of a kilometre an hour down the front straight, 262.1 before they hit the brakes for the first corner. So yeah, he can't outdrag the Mercedes. He can only match it by the looks of it. So Jan's going to have to get a little inventive here to try and get round that Mercedes, which is monstering the straights at the moment. Maybe not more than the Ferrari, which is currently quickest in the speed trap, but certainly compared to the Porsche, which is no slouch. It's a 510 brake horsepower, 4.0 litre flat 6 in the back of that thing that propels it along very nicely. But other Cup machinery running at some 640, 650, or even the Ferrari 670 brake horsepower and in natural conditions. So it's going to be a tough ask for Jan Lauritsen to try and get round this Mercedes here. 7 minutes left on the clock, and the gap less than 0.3 of a second as they went over the timing line. This is Ivan Velasco, the championship leader, trying to get around its title rival, actually, the Van der Velde and Prisbalack. So Prisbalack currently ahead, but Velasco looking to do something about that, but he's actually coming under pressure from the second Q1 car of Quentin Antonell, and that's not the direction Velasco will have been hoping to go in. But look at that, the straight line speed of the Ferrari doing a lovely job there. A little flapping of the front bodywork there from the Antonell Porsche, but you see the Ferrari quick enough down the straight to just keep the Porsche at bay for the meanwhile, but Antonell looking for every which way he can past the Spanish driver here.
Yeah, he's searching, he's hunting. Antonell, who's obviously stepped in the car for the second stint now. Velasco doing the same for Mertel, as now he takes another look down the inside, coming through Repsol, and you've got the Rosso Corsa of Andrea Bellici, who lost out to Antonell not too long ago. Antonell, though, finding that inside line. Remember, it's so good in the corners. Heading out to Repsol, down in towards Seat. He's going to pull it off, surely. He's going to hang around the outside. Oh, very close. Velasco very nearly getting in tight, but it's not enough to stop Quentin Antonell, who breezes past indeed, and certainly, as you said, not the direction that this Mertel Ferrari wants to go. Championship on the line. Could Antonell provide a spoke in that wheel right now?
Well, he's going to have to take a fair bit out of Velasco for that to happen. Still, Ibanez leads Lauritsen as they go through the final corner. 5 and a bit minutes left to go on the clock now, and I'm sure Lauritsen is fed up looking at the back of this NM Motorsport Mercedes. But we'll see what the run is like down the straight. The Oregon car's not making too many inroads on them. He's 1.3 behind. A look up the inside here from Lauritsen. So much better on the brakes in the Porsche, and he takes the lead back, but the Mercedes trying to get the better run out of turn 2. But as they go through the right-hander of 3, not much Ibanez can do with that, and Lauritsen hits the front once again.
He certainly does. Jan Lauritsen back on top as he was before, and a cheer from the garage from Q1 Track Racing, who are going to be absolutely thrilled with that. And now dispatching the Mercedes down into second place. 2/10 away, though. I would not count out Ibanez at this stage. Still second on the board here, and bringing along Moretti into the fight as well. The Oregon Lamborghini. We've got 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 here. Porsche, Mercedes, Lamborghini as well. Only 1.2 behind P2 right now, and Moretti's got to try and turn on the style, but Ibanez losing time now on Lauritsen, who's trying to consolidate his lead overall at the front.
So I'm just looking at the championship standings, and actually as it stands, this would be the championship leaders' drop score, because they're currently in 9th place, and their worst finish so far this season has been a 6th. So this would definitely go to a drop score, so it wouldn't change anything in terms of the drop score points, but for Prisbalak and co, it would definitely bring them a little bit closer. So the championship, I don't think, will be won today for Van der Velde and Prisbalak. It's certainly looking very good in the AM Championship, because they were leading by 7, and they are leading the way in that class as well now. So I think the AM will be decided.
Yeah, it certainly could be. Now as Alex Ryman makes his way around the final corner, he's been pressuring Davide Scanaccio, though. We saw him head through the final sector in the early stages, very nearly turning the screw, heading up through Bank San Bedel. Let's take a look at the replay here. Jan Lauritsen turning on the style, down the inside at turn 1. That's the move that was needed to be made. Took the lead straight away, heading out of turn 1. Nothing that the Mercedes could do. Ibanez, who did a great job of making himself as wide as possible. You can just see there a little bit of the grille just sort of flapping around on the front of the Mercedes there as well. But nevertheless, it is a great move from Jan Lauritsen. Takes the lead here in the GT Cup Open, and here's the reaction.
Yeah, they like that because it's important for the team's championship as well. Another one that I don't think would be decided just yet, but they'd be in a very good position with Q1 cars doing very well at the moment. This is Ryman getting past Scanaccio. That's for 4th place down into turn 1, down the inside. But yeah, with Q1 cars 1st and 6th at the moment, those are the ones that are scoring points. And Mertel's best car currently in 9th place, so looking very good there at the moment. So
Moretti coming into the fight now as well, 6/10 away from Ibanez, and he's been really chopping at that wood in terms of the delta. And he's going to force it now through New Holland and look to try and garner some sort of speed, just carry it heading down towards turn 1 now as well. And if he can get himself in the aero, could be a close proximity fight now between the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Of course, now looking to hunt down this Mercedes AMG GT Cup car as they head in towards turn 1 now. Ibanez still in 2nd. He's lost out now. 1.8 seconds the gap now between Lauritsen and Ibanez. We are on the final lap of the race here as well, folks, as now the Oregon team perhaps look to turn the screw. Another podium on the table for them, this time in GT Cup competition. They would love to make it, though, a 2nd place rather than a 3rd. They could yet decide that now. There's Jan Lauritsen, our race leader, whipping through this next right-hander and looking to do it in grievous style. Look at the traffic, though. That could cause an issue, as now the cars look to try and avoid it. They do so brilliantly, but nevertheless, a grand performance on his return here, Jan Lauritsen, Chris.
Has been absolutely stellar, and just what you'd expect from the man who contested 9 races and won 7 of them last year. So he's doing a great job out there at the moment. And now 1.8 seconds clear of Ibanez in 2nd, who's still got that Lamborghini breathing down him as well. Stephen Licorice about to have a lap put on him as well. What could have been for that car that was starting in 5th, but Luca Ludwig getting involved in that first corner collision that spun him round, dropped him to the very back of the grid. And you see Moretti there showing his nose for the first time to Ibanez, but we are now on the last lap of the race, George.
Yeah, marked his return here to the GT Cup Open only a round ago, back at Monza, where he took the first race victory that weekend as well, and his first on his return to GT Cup competition. He followed it up with a 2nd, and with his family watching on, watching him take pole, he's now going to cross the line very shortly, take the checkered flag. They're going to watch him become a winner here at Barcelona once again for the first time since 2021. Q1 track racing will be absolutely thrilled. This will help them massively in terms of the team's title. Ibanez comes home in 2nd on Mercedes' first outing here in the GT Cup Open, taking 2nd. Moretti comes home in 3rd for Team Oregon, as now we witness Davide Scanaccio with Xander Prisbalak in behind, as well as Quentin Antonell, who has driven superbly as well. It's going to be a battle up towards the line. It's going to be oh so tight. Nevertheless, Prisbalak does take the AM win. Scanaccio holds on to 5th, and victory though for Xander Prisbalak with Antonell in 7th place. I think that's the AM title home and hosed, Chris.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. We'll double check the maths, but yeah, Bottas twins were 7 points back going into this one. Of course, they've not scored, so Certainly looks that way. A fantastic result for them, and they were only 71 thousandths of a second away from getting 5th there from Scanicchio. And yes, for Q1 Track Racing, great result for them. It can, I think, still go the other way for Mertel tomorrow, but victory for Q1 and victory as well. Big weekend for Q1.
Yeah, fantastic result for Jan Lauritsen. 3 races now that he's amassed this season, 3 times he has featured on the podium, 2 of them being race wins. He's going to be absolutely delighted with that. A great debut for the Mercedes as well, finishing in 2nd place. A well-executed performance on their count as well. Despite the issues heading through the early stages at turns 1 and 2, they managed to avoid it. Let's take you through the final results, folks. Jan Lauritsen is your winner and has taken it in great style, with Ibanez and Viban finishing in 2nd. Vetera and Moretti on their debut for Team Oregon in 3rd. Alex Ryman in 4th. Scanicchio and Babini finishing in 5th. Xander Prisbalak and Laurent van der Velde finishing 6th and taking the AM Championship, with Quentin Antonell and Nicholas van Dierendonk in 7th. Innocenti and Bellici finishing in 8th. Pisani and Zanini in 9th, with Velasco and Cabezas in 10th place. Indre Yaska in 11th spot, with Camel Perrin and Florentin Sescu in 12th. Roberto Fecchio in 13th. Luca Ludwig and Stephen Licorice finishing in 14th and a lap down, with Fabiani and Zerbi also a lap down in 15th. We lost Navarrete, Bazzoni, Eugeni Leonov, the Boschez brothers and Glauco Solieri very early on in the race. And this is how the championship looks. Obviously now it does seem that it will come down to the last remaining points of the season. Obviously, given the fact that we have the likes of Jorge Cabezas and Ivan Velasco very much in the mix. 90 points, no points scored this time around, but Laurent van der Velde and Xander Prisbalak, who are on the cusp, 23 points now the gap, 67 is the break. Davide Scanicchio and Fabio Babini there as well, but nevertheless, what a tremendous result for the Q1 Track Racing team and for Jan Lauritsen. 2nd time a race winner here at Barcelona. The last time being here back in 2021, and he will savor this, no doubt. Of course, it was with Q1 where he achieved that last time, and now, a couple of years on, very nearly falls out the car as well, but nevertheless, he's okay. Great to see Jan Lauritsen back. Of course, current champion, reigning champion at this point. Looks like he survived getting out of his car okay, but a delightful day, certainly on his account, because not only is it a race win, it's a race win with your family around you.
That's the first time this weekend that he hasn't looked comfortable getting out of the car there.
He very nearly tripped, and I was a bit worried he was going to hurt himself, but he's done okay. There is Ibanez getting out, and I think he's pleased as well. I mean, Mercedes' first outing, they're chuffed, and understandably so as well. It was a very well-managed performance on their part. And there is the Lauritsen family. And yes, you're on TV, you're on the telly. So there you have it. Fantastic. Great result for the team. Jerry Canavicio celebrating another podium for Oregon team, this time in GT Cup competition. And Jerry, as ever, his animated self, Chris.
Of course, I expect nothing less from Jerry. So, yeah, 2 new names on the podium there with Ibanez and Moretti, the NM Racing and Oregon.
2 new manufacturers as well.
2 new manufacturers as well. I really hope this is the future of GT Cup Europe. I love seeing this intermarque competition. And yeah, if we can have more of the Mercs, more of the Lamborghinis, then that'd just be wonderful.
Yeah, there's Bertera and Moretti together, enjoying their P3 performance. Let's take you through the top 3, folks. It was Bertera and Moretti who finished in 3rd place for the Oregon team. A great debut performance from the Italian outfit. 2nd place to the Mercedes partnership, NM Racing. Welcome to the GT Cup Open. 2nd place for Ibanez and Viban. But they could not stop our race winner, Jan Lauritsen. It's him again. He's back after winning back in 2021, and he's standing by with Alfredo Filipponi.
Jan Lauritsen, and the victory came after pole position, but it was a tough race with a very chaotic start, first of all.
Yeah, it was. I had a good start, but in the back, it was a big crash. So yeah, for me, that was not good, because with my handicap during the pit stop, I thought, oh, this is going to be a tough one today.
And then second part, of course, a nice duel, and you took the lead.
Yeah, it was a really clean race with the Mercedes and Lamborghini. So they are quite fast. So I have to push every lap to to make a gap. So it was a really cool race.
But these are the good wins, the nice wins, when you have to fight a bit.
Yeah, of course. I had fun, so that's most important.
Congratulations. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, having fun is important. Jan Larsen, you can celebrate, my friend. Let's see how he did it as we take you through the highlights from the race. Getting underway under green conditions, of course, Jan Larsen got to what could be supposed as a very slow start. It was a great start though for Jorge Cabezas until he reached turn one, of course. Larsen getting the upper hand, heading through the first apex. Of course, we witnessed a collision. Of course, Evgeny Leonov, who we're running on board with right now, unfortunately getting collected by the Boschez brothers Ferrari, heading into the barrier, and unfortunately coming unstuck at that point. We got the restart underway very later on after losing out on 4 cars from that earlier incident. There was a huge gargantuan battle. Unfortunately for Jorge Cabezas, Simon Velasco, they were being taken apart. This is no way near the championship performance they were looking for, allowing Davide Scanicchio and Fabio Babini in order to take the second place away from them on track in the early part of the stint. Jan Larsen, though, certainly did deliver. Of course, in the midst of trying to work his way around the field, given the fact that the safety car did cause a few problems and did eat away at his time, he undertook the pit stop procedure and still managed to hold on to his pace. We saw some further battling as well, involving that of Laurent van der Velde and his Porsche, which of course he would hand over to Xander Prispalak later on into the race as well. It was a welcome though to the Mercedes outfit of NM Racing, who would go down the inside at Kamsa Corner, passing Scanicchio later on into the race. Oregon team also making their debuts in the GTOpen Championship too, with the Lamborghini making their way through the early stages of the lap in great style. Jan Larsen would take the lead heading in towards turn one, unseating Ibanez for that position, able to hold on to it too. He would round the final corner and in gargantuan fashion and superb style once again become a winner at Barcelona after capturing the race here in race 1. And as you can see, the podium well underway, and you just see there Beretta and Moretti now making their way out onto the podium places. And we saw Jerry Cannavicchio and how happy he was, and the Italian passion in full flow here already. Of course, we spoke about Beretta and his touring car experience. Of course, a lot of that can come in handy when it comes to GT racing, no less here at GT Cup. And Moretti definitely looked like a safe pair of hands out there, Chris.
I certainly did. It was yeah, lovely to watch, just dancing with that Lamborghini. I've just noticed as well, the GT Sport team haven't had to be spending the entire race up ladders, putting up signs for the podium, because we've got a lovely digital board for this one. So that's saved them a job.
Well, it takes the strain away a little bit. We know that Pablo works hard behind the scenes and everybody else to put everything together. They do a stellar job of putting everything together. Success over Q1 yet again, and their man Jan Larsen can celebrate too. And also a fantastic result for the Mercedes outfit of NM Racing, a debut performance and a debut podium.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't fall off.
Goodness me.
Goodness me.
Well, it'll be the Belgian national anthem for the Belgian team and the Belgian driver. Great weekend for them so far.
Certainly will be. Fabulous indeed. And just standing by now, waiting for it. But Jan Larsen and the Q1 team representative, of course, no doubt thrilled as to the performance that they've managed to deliver this weekend after a sensational qualifying effort, and capping it off with a fantastic race result too, as now we handle the trophy presentation, and all hands being shaken as well. Great to have as I said, the Mercedes outfit with the NM Racing marking their debut this season with Luc Ibanez and Jorge Vierbahn on the podium. Of course, they can add more to their accolade, not just a winner now of the 24-hour Nürburgring, Jorge Vierbahn. He can now call himself a podium sitter in the GT Cup Championship as well. And Luc Ibanez also a runner-up in the GT4 European Series. And who knows, maybe we'll see these as a permanent outfit next year in 2024. One can only hope. But
especially someone like Vierbahn as well, who's got 16 Nürburgring 24-hour appearances under his belt. So, yeah, very
huge prospect.
Yeah, very welcome addition to the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the trophies being presented here to the rest of the team, and there you have the reaction from Q1 Track Racing. Delighted with that sensational performance from Jan Larsen. It certainly was special, and to the winning team as well. Q1 Track Racing, wait for the cheer.
Edgar Terriam there on the podium, the Q1 Track Racing team owner. And it will now be the Belgian national anthem for both driver and team.
Well, there we have it, folks. A tremendous result for Jan Lauritsen in Q1 track race, and the title still to be decided. We'll take it through to tomorrow. Make sure you join us for qualifying tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock local time. We'll see you then.
It's really important.